Thank you all for being here and welcome to our 2024 ESCO business session. We're going to try to get some things done today, going to learn a few things and have a chance to talk to each other a little bit here in a few minutes. Um, we are the Eastern South Central Colorado District, and this is our first year to have district gatherings. We had a great gathering on March 2nd at Calvary Church in the Springs. That was in person. We enjoyed worship with the bishop and some great workshops with some of our own leading them. We recognized our quiet disciples who we're going to see. We're going to see their names again here in just a minute. Um, Kind of the agenda today is pretty straightforward. We'll have a devotional here from Travis Walker in a second, and then we'll have a short time in breakout rooms, just as if you were at a gathering and you were around a table and we had a moment to do introductions and greet each other. So we'll have a short time with that, and then we'll set into the agenda with some presentations, and we have some votes to take today to approve some district leadership teams. And At 10 o'clock, whatever we're doing at 10 o'clock, we're going to take time out because Jeremiah Harris is going to join us, and he is the incoming president of our conference board of trustees. So he's going to start that in July. He's going to say a few things, and then we're going to open it up for some Q&A with Jeremiah. And then we will wrap it up with whatever we have left after that. He'll be with us about half an hour. So the idea that the goal is to be done by 11. So we're going to give that a shot this morning. So anyway, welcome. Good to see you all. And I'm going to turn it over to Travis to do a devotional for us.
Well, good morning. It's good to be with you all today. Chris had asked to share a devotional a couple of days ago, and it came to my mind a passage of scripture I think is really apropos for us as United Methodists, and as we're moving forward. It actually comes from the lectionary reading. Some of you may have heard this in church this last Sunday, and if you're of the preaching type, you may have even preached from it, from Acts 4:32 through 35. And so I'll read that here. It says here that the whole group of those who believed were of one heart and soul. No one claimed private ownership of any possessions, but everything they owned was held in common. With great power, the apostles gave their testimony to the resurrection of the Lord Jesus, and great grace was upon them all. There was not a needy person among them, for as many as owned lands or houses sold them and brought the proceeds of what was sold. They laid it at the apostles' feet, and it was distributed to each as any had need. So one of the privileges I have right now is I get to teach a junior high Sunday school class at the Wiley Church. And we've started looking at the book of Acts. We're going to be looking at Acts up until the end of our Sunday school year, which is the 19th of May. But as we were started talking about, I just pulled out the lectionary reading there from this last Sunday, and we read it as a group. And I remember looking at some commentaries and some other scholars of the text, and they had shared that this was kind of not necessarily doing something new, but living as God intended. As God intended all throughout the Old Testament, that things would be collected and shared and distributed. And so I came into class, or Sunday school class, knowing this, and we started reading the scripture. And right afterwards, I just asked, "No, what do y'all think of this here?" And without, I mean, we have very intelligent junior high students at Wiley. I mean, they are wonderful, but it clicked with them that this is how God wanted us to live, how God has always wanted us to live, where we shared, where we helped one another, and where there was a need, we helped to connect. And sometimes I think that can get lost on us as we become so, troubled by what's going on in our lives, things that we're going through. Now, some of it is, we've had some really rough years. We've had rough years with the pandemic. And for us, we've lived through disaffiliations. We've lived through loss of loved ones. We've lived through a loss of our churches might not be what they used to be. And so it can be hard to think about sharing when we're coming from a place of loss, of grief, and that's totally understandable. But what speaks hope to me here is that we're still called to see the needs of others and reach out. Maybe we can extend a ministry or our abilities or our talents to another, uh, and maybe they would see our needs and reciprocate back. And we don't do this because of benefit ourselves, but rather we do this as faithful living, that we are open to the needs of others and we share. I think for us as United Methodists, this is baked into our DNA as a connectional people where we have a connection. And I think our connection is less when we begin thinking about our own selves, our own churches, but rather we're called to look beyond. We're called to look outside of our churches, our local context, and be shared together in mission and ministry. I think this is guidance for us as we work together, as we lean into our future. Yes, we come with our burdens, our grief, and our loss, but I believe our God is one of hope. Our God is one of a future that is greater than anything we can imagine. And as we begin to work together, as we begin to share our abilities, our talents, our gifts with one another, I believe we could live into a future that God is calling us to, a future that is indeed greater than anything we can imagine. So let us lean into this future as we go forward as God's people. And so, with that, as we close there, I invite you to join with me in prayer as we start our day. Almighty and gracious God, we give thanks today that we are able to gather across the miles, that we are able to connect as your people. Yes, come from different places, different life experiences, different hopes and dreams, different struggles and challenges. But yet, God, you are one God. You are one God with each and every one of us in our unique and diverse places. Lord, we're thankful that you are our God, that you are with us always, and that you see each and every one of us. You see our value. Lord, remind us of your presence. Remind us of the calling you have for us as we boldly proclaim your hope through Jesus Christ and share uh, your grace and love with all in our community and throughout the world. We pray all this in your Son's holy name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Travis. Appreciate that. Great way to get us kicked off this morning. All right. Well, I would love for us now to do some breakout rooms. You'll have about 5 folks in your room. We'll take about 4 minutes, and then it depends how adept I am at closing the rooms for as to how soon we get back together. I'm going to give you a few things to share with each other. So your name and your church, for sure, where you are, and then the other 2 things are your favorite hymn or worship song, and something that the people in your group really ought to know about where you live, something that you appreciate and people ought to know about where you live. Okay, so your name and church, easy. Your favorite hymn or worship song, and something that their group ought to know about where you live. Okay, all right. So we'll do this for a few minutes, and we'll be back. You have to click on the join button to join your group. Right, we're actually getting it done. That's great. Uh-oh. See? Yeah, there we go. All right, this may be all of us left here, maybe folks who came in after I created those rooms. So let's make this our group. So good morning, Kim. Good morning, Ken. Good morning, John. Good morning, Julie. Hope you all are doing all right today.
Morning, Chris. Sorry, yeah, I did come in a few minutes late.
Oh, it's all right. You made it. We're good. All right. So, let's start going around the circuit. Julie, are you able to communicate with us?
I am, yes. I'm at a
Okay.
track meet right now, so I'm like
Oh,
in my headphones doing my thing, but I'm here at a track meet and still joining. So
okay. Great. All right. Good deal. All righty. Well, then let's, oh, there we got a new person. All right. There's John back. All right. Good. Okay. Well, let's get started. Why don't we, John Knapp, why don't we start with you? Who you are, where you are, favorite hymns. Let's see. We can't hear you yet. John, are you going to be able to
Got two Johns.
yeah, sorry, John Knapp is Yep. All right. Well, let's go to John Schaefer real quick then. Good morning, John. So we're given who we are, what church we're from, your favorite hymn or worship song, and something about your community that we ought to know. Oh, you're muted. We can't hear you. All right. Well, Ken, why don't you go? Oh, there we go. You got it.
Well, I'm John Schaefer from the United Methodist Church in Fort Morgan. And here to listen to what you got to say.
Yeah. What's you have a favorite hymn or worship song?
What?
Do you have a favorite hymn or worship song that you like to?
Yeah, how great thou art.
Nice. What's something about Fort Morgan that we ought to know?
It's an active church in the community, and we're growing all the time. And we've got a great pastor.
Yeah, fantastic. Good deal. All right, Ken, why don't you go?
Well, Ken Burby, I'm at Rye Home United Methodist in Rye, Colorado. And boy, I have a hard time picking one favorite hymn. I guess I'd have to go maybe with Blessed Assurance would be one of my favorites. And Rye is southern Colorado, right up against the mountains. So if you look one direction, you see mountains, and you look the other direction, you see plains and desert. And it's kind of a cool place to be. Depending, you can go 10 minutes in either direction and be in a pretty cool place.
Yeah, very cool, for sure. All right, Julie, how about you?
So my name is Julie King Dye, and I am the pastor at Fowler UMC and Manzanola UMC. My favorite hymn is, it's hard to pick my favorite because I have a lot of favorites, but if I had to pick one, it's the Hymn of Promise. And let's see, something about Fowler that everybody should know about is they have the coolest Missouri days ever. So if you ever get a chance to come out in July, come to Missouri Days. It is amazing. And something really cool about Manzanola is they have a very rich history with the dry. And they are currently renovating their church. And well, I shouldn't say renovating, they're preserving it, is what they're doing. They're keeping it all very original. And they have just done some amazing grant work, and they're doing really cool things. So they're great places. Stop and see us if you're in the area. So
That's for sure. Yep, very good. All right, so let's see, John Knapp, can you hear us yet? Not yet. Okay. For whatever reason, we can't hear you if you're trying to talk. So I'm Chris Carr. I'm the superintendent for the district, and I live in South Denver. My favorite hymn is "Come, O Thou Traveler Unknown." Not a lot of people sing that very often, but it's a Charles Wesley. It's one of his classics. It's really, really good. And gosh, since I'm cover the whole district, I love the variety in our district, that we can have. You can be in the mountains, you can be on the plains, you can be in river valleys and on high deserts, and a tremendous number of different ecosystems that we live in our district. I love that diversity that we have here. So, all right, I'm going to hit the close. Okay, now it's counting down for everybody. Let's see here. Austin's trying to get connected. Well, folks are going to come back now. Okay, here we go. All right, welcome back, everybody. You're coming in. It's always fun to see the screen fill back up. Almost there. Awesome. All right, I think we're back. Okay, well, welcome back, everybody. I hope that was fun to meet. Maybe you met somebody new. I hope so. And okay, we are going to jump right in to celebrating our quiet disciples, and to lead us in that are going to be Susan Wheeler and Cindy Snodgrass, who are our two lay leaders for the Eastern South Central Colorado District. And while they come online to start talking, I'm going to put the slides up with the names.
Every year when we get working on the quiet disciple recognitions, it's a blessing for us as lay leaders to be able to recognize all of those people that do so much in the church. It's always just really great to recognize, and people are always so humble and to try to refuse it and things like that. But it's wonderful when you see your quiet disciple tomorrow at church. Tell them congratulations again from us. And it's my privilege to present these quiet disciple nominees. From Akron, Sharon Snyder and Shelley Travis. From Beulah, Sharon Ricker. From Burlington United Methodist Church, Lavone and Glenda Smith. From over in Center, the San Luis Valley, Vicki Ratzlaff. From Central UMC in Colorado Springs, Pat Dungan, and from Christ United Methodist Church up in Sterling, William Benson. Community UMC in Westcliff, their nominee this year is Inga Crosby. From Fort Morgan, it's Deb and Dave Polanski. And from Fowler, my home church, Elaine Allison, who's with us this morning. From Good Shepherd, Colorado Springs, Carl Shryak. From Hugo, we have the team of Alvin and Joni Kelly. From Julesburg, we recognize Mary Young. From La Junta, Betty Lopez. And from Lamar, another duo, Louis and Teresa Madrid.
From the Manzanola Church, Geneva Pittman. Ordway, Carol Mung. Peoples in Colorado Springs, Sister Tina Bailey. Pleasant Valley UMC in Yuma, Kelsey McCall, a young adult. Rocky Ford UMC, John Knapp. Sawatch, R. William Hazard. St. Paul's in Colorado Springs, Eugene Peterson. Sunrise in Colorado Springs, Steve and Karen
Take it.
You know what? I've said this all week long. Preciado, Stephen Karen Preciado. Well, at Wesley in Pueblo, Alice Bowie, Wiley, UMC, Billy Colvin. Ray had a nominee in each of the categories that are available. Luke Freeman, Youth, Cassie Campfield, Young Adult, and Marilyn Lucas, Adult. Folks, these are the steadfast people of our churches, and we can't say how much we appreciate all of them working quietly all the time. Thank you so much.
All right, let's give a jazz hands salute to all of these quiet disciples. Oh, I love how that looks. All right, very good. Okay, there. Excellent. All right, we are going to shift then into talking about some more important laity work. And so David Erickson is our Director of Lay Servant Ministries for the ESCO district. David, I have to apologize because just now I realized I did not get a slide put together with your team. So if you could share their names as part of your talking, or I can look them, or I can pull out your email and
yeah, please do.
Okay, so you go ahead and start talking about Lay Servant Ministries, and I'll find that for you.
I know a number of you that are online here are lay servant. It's at some level, either a lay servant, a certified lay servant, a certified lay speaker, or a certified lay minister. Those are all of the categories for lay servant ministries. And we would love to have one in each category at each church, but we know that's not all possible, but we would like folks to think about it. You're involved in your church in some fashion, and there are people that are not necessarily involved that probably should be involved because they have a propensity to speak, to lead, whatever. And our pastors can use help at times. They can use help as being liturgists or to fill in for them once in a while. Things that are going on. And we need to look at filling those positions if possible. So if you have a real want to become part of this, I would ask that you contact me so that we can get you started on the classes. We are in the process of setting up a Zoom class for this year for the basic, and we're also going to do at least 1 or 2 in-person Zoom classes across the district. So I plan on doing one in the Olney Springs area here this summer, this fall time frame and such. I'm going to work with those churches in that area to do it because I understand in some of the cases your Wi-Fi, your internet isn't great, so having a Zoom class doesn't work. So we got to come out and do it in person. So we'll do what we can to get those things done. Okay, we do have a committee on lay servant ministry as part of our district leadership. Jim Bessie, Nancy Mead, Cindy Snodgrass, Susan Wheeler, Lola Spradley, myself, and our district superintendent, Chris Carr, are on there. There are certain ones that are called out by the Book of Discipline and others that people have shown an interest and want to be part of that. We get involved when we do the certified lay speakers, and we also do the recommendations so that Chris can take them forward to the DCOM for the certified lay ministers going forward and such. I see this as probably about a quarterly event, unless we really get going. And if we can get going, I would love it. We'll do a little more often meetings and such. So we look forward to you being interested and people in your churches. So please join up and let's become lay servants at some point.
Awesome. Thank you, David. Appreciate that. So folks, you can get in touch with David. Travis, could you look at emails and just put David's email in the chat while I'm doing this next thing? All right. Thanks, David. Appreciate that. So we're going to have to do some voting today. So I put together fun practice vote for us. One of the great things about our district is the difference in geography, and we have a lot of agriculture in our district. And so I'm going to make you do something that it may not be popular, but I've got an interesting little poll here for us to start. I'm sorry for you folks who have multiple people where you are. You're just going to have to either somebody have to get on your phone, but you may not be able to do that fast enough, or you can all have a consensus about how you want to vote. So, but here we go. We're going to see how this works. All right, can you all see this? Somebody nod or shake your head.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So the question is, which of these ESCO products would you most like to find on your table? Beef, corn, melons, potatoes, sugar. I know it's tough. Although this is interesting. It's fun to watch the bars go up and down. I don't think we've done a multiple choice before on these, so this is good. Wow, look at all that. Okay, we got about 15 more seconds.
Chris,
Although we're all just ahead with it.
hey, sorry, Chris, I'm not seeing the results. Where should I be seeing those?
Oh, you won't see them, the results until I call it off here.
Oh, so
Are y'all seeing the bars go up and down, or is that just me that can see all that? Oh, you don't get to see that. Well, here we go. All right, we're done. We got 39 votes in, so I think we're good. Share results. All right, can you see that now? All right, so melons came out on top, followed in a close race between beef and potatoes, and then corn and sugar also got some mentions. So I'm glad everybody got some votes. So, all right, so there's our practice vote for the day. Thank you, everybody. All the rest of them will just be yes or no, so that they won't be quite as involved. All right. Okay, I'm going to have Travis talk a little bit again. We are doing a lot of stuff, and it's great to have Travis on board with the district because he's got a little more technical acumen than I do. And so we're going to have Travis talk a little bit about our social media in ESCO. Oh, no, wait a minute. Hold on. Yeah, I just skipped over stuff. Hold on. We got a video first. Let's do that. So if you got excited about Travis doing that, he will be doing that in just a minute, but we're not quite there yet. Sorry. Got to get us hooked up. Okay, so we have some videos this morning from some of the missions and ministries in our district and our conference. This one's from our Creation Justice Task Force, especially from Ann Hurd, who is at Calvary in the Springs. And here we go.
Our world is burning. The Marshall Fire was the most destructive fire in Colorado history. This was the hottest summer on record worldwide. In 2022, the Clark Fork River destroyed half the town of Fromberg. Drought in the U.S. and around the world is causing wildfires and ruining crops. Too often, it is countries and people least prepared that are harmed. And it's not just God's people. Plants, animals, entire ecosystems are at risk. All of God's creation is suffering. This man, the head of the United Nations, understands too well what the UN's IPCC reports are finding. We are out of time. As people of God, we know God is at work in the world. As God's hands and feet, we are the ones who must alleviate the suffering. The 2023 Mountain Sky Annual Conference passed a non-binding resolution asking all our churches to form green teams. Many conferences across our country are doing so. A green team can help your church assess and improve its sustainability, help individuals in your community learn to live more sustainably, address climate anxiety through education and action, and prepare people for a changing planet. The Creation Justice Task Force wants to help you and your community prepare for what is coming. On the Mountain Sky website, you'll find resources for worship, education, facilities, and advocacy. It's important to just take the first step. You'll find many people who want to help. There are many, many opportunities, and we are so much stronger in community. The Creation Justice Task Force is here to help. Together, through worship, learning, and action, together we can change the world.
All right. So if you would like to look into your church forming a green team, please look up the Creation Justice page on the conference website. It's mtnskyumc.org. We'll put that in the chat too. That would be a great thing for your church to look into if you have folks who are passionate about that. Next thing, we have our first vote. I want to share a little bit about equalization members. Many of you are familiar with what this is about. Some of you may not be. So I want to say a word. We in the Methodist Church, whenever we have our big conferences, general conference, annual conference, jurisdictional conference, we always want to have an equal number of clergy and laity in those conferences. And we do that in our yearly annual conference that we hold, which this year will be in Casper, June 20th to 23rd. And so if you are either the elected lay member from your church or an equalization member, it'll be time to get registered for that. Registration opened this last Monday and will be open for a while. But we have, to come up with those equal numbers of clergy and lay, we have to do some math. And so we figure out how many clergy we have serving churches. But then we also have clergy who are serving in extension ministries, so they're not appointed to a church. We have retired clergy, and so that number is larger than the number of lay people who would attend if we just took one lay person for each appointed clergy person. And so we figure out that total number of clergy, and we figure out the total number of churches, and every charge with an appointed clergy person gets to have a lay member of annual conference. But there's a difference between those two numbers, the total number of clergy and the number of charges. And so the difference is the number that we fill with equalization members. Those are folks who fill out an application to be an equalization member. There's a discount on the registration fee, an 80% discount on the registration fee to be an equalization member, because we want each and every church, not just each and every charge, to have somebody go to annual conference, either in person or online. And so we as a district have a number, we have every one of our charges, we are able to have a lay member for every appointed clergy person, but we want every church to have somebody. And so these equalization spots are open for us to fill up with folks. So every church has an opportunity to have a lay member at annual conference. And we have over 60 openings for our district for equalization members. We are going to approve the ones that we've got applications for right now today, and then the roundtable, the leadership team for the district, will approve the ones that come in between now and the registration deadline for annual conference, which is I believe in, I'm not sure what it is. Somebody might want to look that up for us. But you got lots of time, and we will have a special code for the folks. Just for your information, if you are going to be an equalization member, we'll have a special code for you to use at registration to get that registration discount. We'll get that out to you shortly. So, okay, I'm going to put these names up on the screen so you can see them. All right, so these are the folks who have already turned in their application. Elaine Allison from Fowler, Jim Bessie from Burlington, Susie Henry and Skip Ladd from Beulah, Denise Logan from Rocky Ford, John Lucas from Ray, Larry Prott from Christ and Sterling, and Nora Strader from First Church in the Springs, and Mary Ann Tabor from Good Shepherd in the Springs. So there we go.
Chris, it looks like some are missing that were submitted as part of the reports at the end of the year.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we'll have to track those down. since we don't have, that's one of those things I'll talk about later, but we don't have our DA right now. So trying to find those may be a little tricky. So if your name is not there, and it should be, I would invite you to put it in the chat so that we can make sure and get your name on that list. Don't panic if it's not. We just need to get your name. We have plenty of time. Susie, see your hand.
I'm Wesley United Methodist Church.
Oh, you're at Wesley now. Okay, sorry about that. I was just used to typing Beulah next to your name. So there we go. All right. So we'll change that. Yep, Susie's from Wesley in Pueblo. All right. So put your name in the chat if we're missing you. Let me see if we're getting any of those. No.
Chris,
All right, we got to get David on there. Yes.
I haven't filled out a form, but I have told you I wanted to be in it
Yep.
because we don't have a member that's going from
Yep.
Holy
I got
Spirit.
you. I got you. Yeah, I was thinking I remember that, but there were two things we talked about, and I was sure the other, not sure this one. So we'll make sure to get you on there. So David Erickson and Pat would be added to this list.
I know.
And Lene Erickson and Vic McMillan. So all these things will be available later, but we want to make sure we get as many as we can. All right, so I'm going to put the vote up there now, and this will include the folks who are on that slide and the folks who are in the chat now. We are going to put the poll. There we go. So do you approve this slate of applicants as equalization members to annual conference? Yes or no? That looks like we got us. 100%. Very nice. Thanks, everybody. Perfect. We've gone past that then. All right, now, Travis, if you'd like to talk about our ESCO social media presence, now's the time for that.
All right. I have to get my excitement back up again there. I mean, that's okay, though. I go out of order all the time. Well, I wanted to share real quick a couple of things we are working on in the world of social media. And that, let me get it. Where did it go? I had one of those good moments right here. Let me just share my whole desktop and now I'm going to pull up here. All right, here we go. You can see right there is we have a YouTube page now set up, and we are posting trainings as we do them. You can see here we have this SPR training. We've also got a few of our workshops from our district gathering. And there's some other few things that kind of pop up here every now and then. I've been throwing up a couple of videos as we've kind of gotten this going. And so if you want to find this on YouTube, to find our channel, and feel free to subscribe to it, Eastern South Central Colorado District UMC. If you search for that, you will find it. And then I will post a link in just a second. You can click and go find the page as well. But if you look for our district name, Eastern South Central Colorado District UMC, you will find the YouTube page there. And if there's anything you would like to see on here or be helpful, just let us know. We are starting, really embracing YouTube as a tool for our district. So all suggestions are welcome for that. And the other thing I want to share is, and many of you have seen this, is our YouTube page, Facebook page, excuse me, that is present, our Eastern South Central Colorado District of Mountain Sky Conference page. We get some updates on here as we can. Things coming on in the conference, things coming up across the general church. You can even see, an advertisement for our gathering right now on here. So there's current updates available here on our Facebook page. And then we are going to be growing into Instagram as well. That is just part of our growing edge as we're embracing and using this tool a bit more to connect with folks. Just want to highlight that. And again, any suggestions you may have, any things you'd like to see on these pages, feel free to let us know. And especially for Facebook, if your church is doing something really cool or some news you'd like to share, or if you're having a dinner or an event that you'd like to invite other congregations to, let us know. We'd be glad to share that through Facebook. Just kind of use that as a way as well to connect and share what's happening in events. So, Chris, that is just a little update right there, and I'll just hand it back to you.
Perfect. Thank you, Travis. Fantastic. All right. Well, we have another short video for you here. John Wesley Ranch is a wonderful resource in our district, and Zach put together a video for you to see, to learn a little bit about it if you are not aware.
Welcome to the John Wesley Ranch up here in Divide, Colorado. Only about a 45-minute drive from downtown campus, but we are surrounded on all sides by Mueller State Park. 120 acres up here in God's creation. Let's go ahead and head on in the lodge. In this 120-year-old lodge, there's so much that happens here, and you can come be a part of it. Whether it's a retreat, whether it's a reunion, whether it's a wedding, anything and almost everything can happen up here at the ranch. There are many ways in which you can come, stay, serve, or even support the ranch. Whether it's the melodrama in June, the Chuck Wagon fundraising dinner in September, our fall festival in October, or the winter festival in February, and then of course, can't forget the Christmas at the ranch that happens every year in December. There are so many things that you can do just to be a part of this place. Being good stewards of this place and working in service with other community partnerships is one of the key pieces of the ranch's DNA. Whether it's working with Wild Heart Teacher, Faithful Hearts Equine Therapy, CUSP, or all the other Teller County organizations, as well as El Paso County organizations, to help improve the lives of not only the people that are here, but across the country. A lot happens up here in Divide.
All right. The ranch is a ministry of First Church in the Springs, so you can find it on their website if you want to look that up. It's a great place to go up and have retreats and events with your church. And one of the great things about our district is that, that area, Maryland Springs, is kind of central to much of our district. So I'd encourage you to take advantage of that resource that we have. All right, we have another vote here. I'm going to talk a little bit about our leadership team, or our roundtable. This is one of those things by discipline. We've got this group that has several tasks that it takes on for the district itself. We've got some folks from, this is great to have a new district roundtable or leadership team. We're going to name it something this summer, probably. So it may have a different name that next time we meet. But the idea is to try to have as diverse a group as we can, geographically, gender, every way that we can have diversity in this group across our district. And so we are still looking for some folks, especially folks from Northeast Colorado and from the St. Louis Valley area. And we could probably use another one or two from the Colorado Springs area, both laity and clergy. So if you are interested in things beyond your local church, so we look at kind of the 30,000 foot view of our district and what kind of resources we can provide and how we can help serve the folks in our district. We'd love to have some more folks. So what I'd encourage you to do, if you're interested, is to send me an email and tell me why you're interested. I would appreciate that. And Travis, you can maybe put both of our emails in the chat so that folks can do that. Just send me not an epistle, just a paragraph or two about why why you would like to serve the district in this way. All right, but we need to approve the folks that we have here now. Let's get this up here. Right, 2 pages. So I want you to look at both pages here. So Cindy Snodgrass and Susan Wheeler are co-lay leaders. Elaine Allison is with us as representative for United Women in Faith. Burry is our new DCOM chair. We'll talk about DCOM in a little bit. David Erickson is our lay servant ministry director. Judy Hill is a layperson on this team. Dina McBean is going to be a new member of this team from Avondale. Nancy Mead is a new member from Alamosa in the San Luis Valley. Lisa Norden is a clergy member from Ray. Deb Polanski is a new member from Fort Morgan, a lay member. Janine Rose has been a clergy member from Levita. Sandy Spar has been clergy from Pueblo West area in Sunrise. And then Steve Worley at Wesley in Pueblo is a lay person on this team. All right, so we are going to vote to approve all those folks. And if you send me a note, you want to be a part of this team, and we bring you on board, you won't have to wait till next spring to join us. We will get you working with us right away. All right, so here's our poll again, a yes, no. Do you approve these nominations to the ESCO leadership team or roundtable? Yes or no? We are quick. Another couple seconds. There we go. All right, thank you, everybody. Once again, we are unanimous. So thank you, all you folks who serve on the roundtable. Some of the things that the roundtable does, I probably should have shared this before, but it is the primary force behind getting the district gathering together every year. There are a couple of different functions on the committee. There's one of the functions is superintendency committee, so to be my SPR. We also have the church location and building board for the district that has to do with when churches have facility issues, renovations and selling properties and buying properties and building properties, all of that board steps in, and we're kind of doing a single board governance kind of model with our roundtable. So it will serve as that church location and building board for the district itself. And then once we get through annual conference, we're going to start with another fun function of the roundtable is to work on visioning with the district and listen to you and what your concerns are and how we can pitch in to provide resources for those. And I'll have something to share about, actually right now. So why don't I jump into that? This will be something we're going to be addressing this summer. Two things. Trinity District, which is what I've served for the last 4 years before ESCO was created, has a couple of funds that we are going to start working with this summer. One of them is, well, there are a few of them. The Walsenburg Church closed a couple of years ago, and when a church closes, the resources from the property, the sale of the property or endowment funds, that sort of thing, go to the conference trustees for them to use. And our conference has decided to use those funds, this was by petition legislation a few years ago, to use those funds primarily for new ministries, new church starts and that sort of thing. Once all the closure expenses for the church that closed are taken care of. Walsenburg, their funds from sales of parsonage and church building and a few other things total over $219,000 right now in the Methodist Helping Methodist Foundation. When they closed, we wrote into the petition for their closure. I didn't make the trustees very happy with this, but we wrote into the petition for their closure that the counties in southern Colorado around Walsenburg, they wanted to have the interest from those funds in the foundation be able to be put back into ministry in those counties. And so that's something that we are going to begin to have some proceeds, interest proceeds, from last year and this year, we're going to be able to use to maybe put together some grants for you all and your churches to apply for, those who are in those particular counties. And the petition was from a couple years ago. You can look that up if you want to see those counties. Now, the other piece that we have, the Old Trinity District had an account in the Methodist Helping Methodist Foundation that has, by its interest, has grown over the years, and we're not real sure exactly where the money came from to begin with, and the foundation isn't either. And so our plan is, and the roundtable will take this on this summer, is to use the interest from that account as well to start having some grants in the district. This is not a ton of money. It may be $15,000 a year that we're able to use, but it's enough to do a little bit, and we're excited about the possibility of this. So we're going to get together in July or August, and we're going to put together some guidelines for the use of this money, guidelines for protecting the value of it within the foundation, and reparations could be. This is one of those things that we're going to have conversations this summer, and we're probably going to open it up for others to be involved in. We've had just examples of things that have popped up in our conversations. Accessibility in churches, reparations is a great one for us to talk about. Vitality, new ministry possibilities. There are a number of different ways that this money could be used. I think my priority, or my hope, is that that they are all forward-looking efforts, and so we'll be talking about this and soliciting your ideas about where that money could go. So, but just to know, this is exciting for us because we don't have any budget money, conference budget money for the district, and so for us to have this small resource for us to be able to use to make a difference across the district would be great. So, you'll be hearing more about that. Also wanted to just show you, it is going to be possible for you to give to our ESCO fund to increase it so that we'll have more interest money. If you go to the conference webpage, go to mountskyumc.org, and then there's a donate button up at the top of the front page of the conference website. If you hit that, then you go to a page where you can find the box for the conference designated giving, and click on that, and then you get this screen that shows up here on this slide where you can designate your amount. And it's important to put in the designation box something like what's on this slide. What that stands for is Methodist Helping Methodist 4403. That's the account number, or just put ESCO District EQ. That's the other half of the name of that account. So we will be enjoying this new opportunity.
Chris, would you put that back up, please?
Oh, yep.
Just for a nanosecond.
I can. There we go. Right. Okay, we're going to have time for a couple more things before 10 o'clock comes around. You got what you needed, Susan? All right. If anybody's still curious after today, just email us and we can get you the information on that, or you can track it down yourself. So, all right, gonna have another video now. Stephanie Moffett is our conference staff person who handles Table for All and Fresh Expressions, and she made a little video for us. Now, if you have your phone handy, she's in the middle of this. She's going to have a couple of QR codes available for you that you can look at. But all this stuff is going to be available on the conference website too. But if you are one who uses QR codes, well, just wanted to give you a heads up.
Hi everyone, my name is Reverend Stephanie Moffitt, and I am the developer of Fresh Expressions and A Table for All in the Mountain Sky Conference. I am here to share with you just a little bit of info about both of these programs in our conference. First, if you click this QR code, you can follow us on social media, Instagram and Facebook, and learn about the Fresh Expressions that are happening in our conference, and you can learn more about what perhaps can happen in your community with a fresh expression of ministry. And if you click this QR code, you can learn more about the 12 churches who have participated in A Table for All over the past year. We are so excited about the work that's happening with these 12 churches, and we would love to share those stories with you. We are continuing to fundraise for A Table for All. Our hope and prayer is that we can come alongside and resource and support even more churches throughout our conference. Thanks so much.
All right, there we go. Okay, we're going to do one more vote, and then Jeremiah is probably going to join us if he hasn't already here pretty quickly. So this will lead us up into our trustees discussion. We're going to talk about or approve our district committee on ministry. And some of you are very much aware of what the district committee does. This is the body, when somebody goes into ministry, in our denomination, they start at the local church, and your SPRC, your staff parish relations team, is the first point of contact there, and they do some discernment with the person, and then a charge conference at the local church approves them, and they go on to meet with the district committee. And so the district committee is the place, if somebody is feeling called to ordination as an elder, as a deacon, the DCOM is the first place they stop to start ferreting out that call to ministry and taking some of those initial steps, determining their fitness for ministry. It's also the place where folks kind of discern, if they haven't already, whether ordained ministry is right, or they're being called to be a local licensed pastor, or maybe certified lay minister. Trying to figure out what that call exactly is on their life. So the district committee takes the folks who are feeling called to ordination, determines their fitness, and then passes them along to the conference board of ordained ministry. So the board then handles the rest of their work. But licensed local pastors and CLMs meet with the DCOM every year as kind of their supervising body and supportive body, and they find everybody's assigned a mentor through the DCOM. So let me share who is serving in this capacity for us. And we have a couple new folks on this team as well. All right, so Burry Bestie, as of this year, has agreed to be our chairperson for this committee. Ken Burvey is our registrar. Susan Wheeler is on here as one of our co-lay leaders. Sue Axon from Fort Morgan is a layperson on the team. Dennis Doyle is going to be new on this team from Sunrise in the Springs. Judy Hill from Stratton. Keith Hudeberg from Wesley. David Petty is also new as a clergy person from St. Paul's in the Springs, and also new to the group is going to be Mary Ann Tabor starting up. So this is going to be your new district committee on ministry. This is another one of those where we would love to have more diversity, and we would love to have somebody from the St. Louis Valley area, and again, somebody else from the Northeast Colorado area, and maybe even one or two more from the Colorado Springs area. So if there's another one, if you're interested, please shoot me an email with a paragraph or two just about why you think this would be a good fit for you. Okay. All right, so here you all have already gotten the vote done. And once again, we are unanimous. So thank you so much. This team just met last week, as a matter of fact.
Chris, that was roundtable that you showed.
No, I hope not.
Yep.
Was it?
You showed the results of the roundtable.
Oh, did I? Oh, well, that's not helpful. Hold on. I don't do this very often. Yep, you're right. Okay, come back. Now let's try it. Do you approve these nominations to the ESCO District Committee on Ministry? Let's try that again. All right, a few more seconds. All right, you all are an agreeable bunch this morning. So once again, unanimous approval. Now, if anybody has voted no and it's not shown up there, you should probably let me know by private chat message. Make sure we're getting this right. Okay. Now, let's see. Has Jeremiah joined us?
Yep, I'm here, Chris.
There's Jeremiah. Great. All right, everybody might want to put speaker view on your screen, so it'll make Jeremiah big there. But Jeremiah, we welcome you this morning. Thanks for being with us. I told folks earlier, but Jeremiah has been kind of the I guess the vice chair of the trustees this year.
Indeed, yes.
Chair elect.
So there's still hope that you do not vote me in.
That's right. So if you all are really, really unimpressed by Jeremiah this morning, you can go. You'll have to go to annual conference. You have to be a member of annual conference, but you could raise a stink if you want to. So Jeremiah, thank you so much for being here with us this morning. Jeremiah is the pastor up at Longs Peak in Longmont, Colorado, and going to be the new chair of our conference trustee starting in July. Right? Is that when that will take effect?
Indeed.
Excellent. All right. So Jeremiah is going to share a little bit with us first, and then we're going to have kind of question and answer time so that you all can ask Jeremiah any questions that are on your mind that are pertinent to the trustees. I imagine he will put up some boundaries around that. So Jeremiah, take it away.
All right. Well, thanks for having me this morning. And I need to begin with a confession, because as a member of a local church and then a pastor, it's easy to be skeptical or snarky of conference boards. We may not know who is on them or where to look for answers, and it can seem like there's maybe some kind of like power that's operating behind the curtain. But what I want to affirm is that the Board of Trustees is made of both laity and clergy who wish to help serve the conference. And none of us are on the payroll. We all have our own other jobs and responsibilities. And so this is, it's a ministry above and beyond where we are giving of ourselves to help support the conference. So the plug is if you have a burning desire that you would love to serve on the Board of Trustees, let me know. We'll see if we can get you a spot. To recap real quick, 2023 Board of Trustees was pretty well swamped with disaffiliations. That was the theme of last year. At this point in 2024, there is no process for continued disaffiliations. We'll see what becomes of general conference, but my magic 8-ball is not reliable, so I don't know how that will play out. I think pertinent to that conversation, though, is there are a few congregations around the nation that are challenging, legally challenging the trust clause. To date, there have been numerous cases, and in every case, the trust clause has stood up for whatever that means. Another interesting piece that I did not foresee coming in the disaffiliation conversation, we had to kind of map out what disaffiliations look like, what was the process, how it was going to happen legally, how are we going to collect all the
legal documents that the chancellor needs to make this happen. And what we were not prepared for is the conversation about the process of reaffiliations. And what that means is that there are some incidents where there's been congregations who have disaffiliated. They have not received a pastor in whatever role they're currently, if they're in a GMC congregation or if they're being at an independent church. So there are congregations without pastors. And so they might be looking for a way back into our connectional network. And another thing is our conference insurance. Because we are in connection, there's a deduction for that network. And some churches are finding that to be self-insured is cost prohibitive. And now there are questions about seeing the real world issues of trying to be an independent church. What is the process to become reconnected to the United Methodist Church? And to be quite honest, we are still trying to figure out what that would look like. So not a lot to report there. The other transition from 2023 to 24, it's with great sadness that we lost our conference chancellor, Rich Marsh. And so this spring, trustees' work has been a little bit sluggish as we got a new chancellor in place. And so we now welcome Matt Weber. So if you have issues, you might reach out to him. But bringing us up to speed to 2024, this year, the two biggest issues that the Board of Trustees are currently navigating is church closures, and as I hinted at with reaffiliations, is the ongoing struggle with property insurance. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about insurance first. Rising insurance rates are nothing new to us. This has been an ongoing debate. I believe it was 2019 or 2020. It was before the dark times of the plague that the conference authorized, annual conference authorized an insurance task force to report back to the conference of, what was the best deal if Church Mutual was still our best option. And I think their report was met with very little fanfare, partly because of pandemic. And the other piece is at that time they found that Church Mutual was indeed the best option. Now, that being said, the Board of Trustees has a guiding principle that requires new bids for insurance every few years. And so right now, this spring, we have a subcommittee on the Board of Trustees who are looking at additional bids from other insurance providers right now. So we'll see how that plays out. We continue to monitor what's the best connectional insurance plan for our conference and our churches. The unfortunate problem right now is that insurance is not going to go down. I'm sure you've probably noticed it in your own individual homes. We see it everywhere, increase in the cost of a loaf of bread, gasoline, all of these things. And one of the challenges to insurance is that we do get a discounted rate on our premiums as being a connectional church, but with disaffiliations and with other churches who leave our network pursuing greener pastures elsewhere, it does shrink the network. And so in addition to the regular rise that we're seeing as a nation in just all costs of living, our insurance is also going up as well. And so there's a couple things we can do. The first thing that is real simple, it admittedly has the lowest impact on premiums, but it's free and it's super easy, and there's really no excuse not to do it. And that is to get the sensors that are available from Church Mutual. There are sensors for water heaters, for temperature. Church Mutual even has a contact police, kind of unfortunately in an active shooter scenario, that you can have these things installed. These sensors are, like I said, they're free. They don't come at any cost. They do come, they're paid for by our premiums, and they're super simple to put in place. If you can install an app on your cell phone, you can install these pieces. And so we do have a group of the Board of the Trustees that we're getting a list of from Church Mutual which churches have which sensors. And for those churches that do not have sensors, Board of Trustees is looking at how we can get a representative of the board to get in contact through our districts and say, let's get these things installed, because it'll help us all in the long run. So that's a short-term thing to help lower costs. A long-term dream that is still a little ways off, but may have some merit for us as a conference, is the Board of Trustees is looking at creating an endowment fund of which we as a conference could self-insure our churches. It would tighten our connectional relations. The challenge is just doing some preliminary sketching. It looks like it's going to take about $60 million to start for the coverage of the conference. And we don't have that kind of funding. It could be that we could start an endowment with proceeds that come from church closures, selling of conference properties. But at this point, there's not real traction behind it. But that could be a solution that we, in the future, we may be able to offset these rising insurance costs. You also might consider fire mitigation. Estes Park has been an excellent example of selecting the roofing for their building, and cutting back growth. And what we learned on the Front Range here with the Marshall Fire is it showed us, as well as our insurance providers, that wildfire is not limited to rural and mountain communities. And so you don't necessarily have to be in a rural location or in the mountains to start thinking about what kind of fire mitigation could we do around our buildings. So that might be a consider for your local Board of Trustees. One of the other things that we can do to lower our insurance costs is stop getting sued. We need to be careful, and this is just kind of a reminder to our local churches, our SPRCs, our single boards, however your church is being governed, that we need to document things, document letting go of staff, what was said, why they're letting go. We need to make sure that we're doing our due diligence and having background checks for our church volunteers, make sure that we're up on our safe sanctuaries. We need to hang on to records and minutes. I know that in some cases, our committee meetings in the local church, they can get a little sloppy. And so we may not take the best minutes, or we rotate chair people or committee members. And so those minutes may have various degrees of getting archived. But we really need to be documenting things just to cover our own well-being. And so those are some points that we have about insurance. In a similar vein is talking about church closures. And none of us want to see a church close, but there's a life cycle of all things. And so the question is what can we do to either to make that church life cycle more vibrant or move it forward? And so we've been talking on the trustees about how we can better monetize our buildings. In the past, I know in my previous congregation, we've talked about, charging for building space, and it came with an aversion that is the church. It's something that we gift to the community. And I think we could shift our thoughts a little bit about seeing our buildings as another tool in our tool belt for ministry. My dad was a blacksmith, and if you don't know anything about blacksmithing, you just don't bang on metal with one hammer. There are a number of different hammers, and they all move the metal on the anvil in different ways. And so in our churches, we followed coming out of World War II. We had the growth and the prosperity of the baby boom generation. We had an influx of people coming to our churches. This led to building education wings. And now we have church buildings that as a tool may not serve the reality of where we are in the life of our churches. And so we can think a little bit differently about how do we see the role of our churches and communities. One of the things that we might consider is your church is starting a daycare or a preschool. We know that for young families that childcare education is a huge need. This certainly takes work. It takes dedication on your church leadership to consider starting a daycare or a preschool, but it can help offset your operating costs. You might consider whether you want to own and charter your own childcare, or if you want to rent the space to another group to utilize it. Of course, renting is going to come at a lesser cost to the benefit of your congregation. But if you look at a missional need of seeing childcare in your community, this might be a way that you can help that. Another one is selling buildings, moving into a smaller space, being missional centered. And what is our purpose as a church? Do we worship our worship in this location, or are we a missional church? And admittedly, this is a hard conversation to consider. Do we sell the church where people have been, married and memorialized and baptized and all of these things? We have a deep emotional attachment to it. It's hard to have that conversation. Should we sell this building and downsize? But sometimes it's the right situation. My wife is clergy. She's originally from Baytown, Texas. And I think it was 4 years ago, something like that, in one of the most recent Houston floods, her Methodist church in Baytown was a nice big brick building, had a couple flights of stairs just to get up to level of the sanctuary. So it wasn't the best for an aging congregation to get in and out of the space. And the church was a complete loss because of the flooding. It was painful to think of getting a new building with so many memories in that old building. The pastor said, well, folks, in our new building with the insurance claim, we're not going to get a Cadillac, but it's also not going to be a Honda Civic. And what they got was a building that is more user-friendly to the age of that congregation. It's one floor, more of an open floor plan style. And so even though it can be painful to think about selling or downsizing our church buildings, we do the same in our homes. Sometimes we have to downsize our homes to find something that fits, and the same goes for a church. And so additional considerations is merging congregations. Maybe we sell a church where there are two congregations in the same town or in near proximity. And this can play out in different ways too. It doesn't necessarily be merging that you join the two congregations. It could be that two congregations share the same building space, and they may have two different appointed pastors serving two different worship styles at two different times, but utilizing that same building. It could also be in the literal sense of merging the two congregations. So thinking about that. Renting space of our building, I touched on that briefly, that my last church struggled with the concept about monetizing and using church space that we're not using and charging people to use it. But I think there's ways that we can look at this as a missional need. If you rent open church space to groups that maybe it's a nonprofit, or if it is a counseling center that you could say it meets the overall mission of the church, you could offer a rate that's competitive to maybe what is in your neighborhood. And by giving a counseling organization a better rate, in turn, it's kind of a symbiotic relationship, and we can still use that or view that as missional. You can charge for church space. You do have to do some additional filing on it so that it does not jeopardize our nonprofit tax exemption status, but it's doable with the right tax reporting. Another look, a way to utilize space that we're not using, if you've got education wings in your building, or if you have a giant parking lot, is to start looking at affordable housing options. This is not just a urban concern; it's also a rural concern for people needing housing. And so it may be plausible to do tiny homes in your church parking lot. I know there's a congregation here in Longmont who is in the process of navigating that as well. A couple cautions to consider about church properties. One of them is it's a case by case basis, but don't rent the church parsonage in lieu of labor. We're finding on the conference board of trustees that this often just doesn't work well. It can get sticky and messy. And another one is historic designations. And I would encourage that you tread carefully with historic designations of your building. It's probably wise and worth the investment to get a lawyer involved in that conversation in the first place. It's also a good idea to be in conversation with the board of trustees. And the reason why we caution about historic designations is because what can seem like a way to preserve the future of the church building forever can actually be a burden to tie the church building down in the long run. Oftentimes, historic city statuses require certain updates to be made to the property. And so there can be additional expenses to make sure that the historic status is maintained. And the other piece of that too is it can come at an overall decreased property value to your church as an asset. If you decide to become a historic building today, you need to maintain the character of that building. 5 years down the road, you decide that this is our most valuable asset. It's too big for us. We can't afford it. We'd like to get another church. And what you might find is that the property value has decreased because whoever else occupies that space has to work within those same historic parameters. So those are kind of the thoughts that are before us right now, is navigating church closures, how we can help churches to not close, how we can offset costs so it's not a burden on maintaining our churches, also offsetting costs on insurance. A little plug that I will throw in here of seeing something differently rather than being from the outside looking in, but now the inside looking out. I think oftentimes we want to say, all right, so what has the conference done for us? We often give of ourselves, but what has the conference done to us? And one of the things that as the United Methodist Church that we've been navigating is this settlement of sexual assaults to the Boy Scouts of America. And it's coming to a head, but right now the Board of Trustees has paid out $750,000 to the Boy Scout settlement. If we take that number, roughly divide it between 320 churches, that basically comes down to the Board of Trustees is saving each local church having to pay out of our own pockets about $2,400. We have heard some stuff from the trustees side. Well, my church doesn't have a scout troop, or haven't had one recently. Some of these claims go back as early as 1952, and they are broad sweeping. They are not just an urban concern. There are rural claims there. So a lot of us have been impacted in some way, even if our own individual church may not have a claim. A lot of our churches have been impacted by the scouting community. And so right now at this point, Board of Trustees is not asking for help to pay this. However, Board of Trustees does not have an endless budget. And so this comes at a significant cost to other ministries that we could be doing as a conference. So I just wanted to throw that out there. That's a little bit about where we are right now. I see Chris has a comment about entering questions in the chat. Chris, I'll let you navigate that as far as questions. But since I'm 3 years into the trustees, sometimes an I don't know will have to suffice, but if I can find answers, I'll get it back to you. So let's see, what do we have?
Thank you, Jeremiah. And Jeremiah was worried he wouldn't have enough to fill up the time, but he just about did it. So, all right. So these may be some short answers. So Jeremiah, can trustees help with help with old cell tower contracts, as in getting out of them or renegotiating terms?
That is a great question. That goes in the I don't know file. I'm going to have to, yeah, my initial thought with the contracts, we might have to talk about what the contract looked like between the congregation and the provider. And so that certainly will probably have a conversation involve a conversation with the chancellor. So, Chris, how do you want to handle getting back to some of these with you? Do you want to have folks email you, email me?
I think that this is from Tiffany at Sunrise, and I'd say, Tiffany, be in touch with Jeremiah.
There we go.
Okay. That's probably the best way to do that.
Sounds good.
All right. The next one there's from Nora and Amy, not asking for names, of course, just wondering if there have been churches in our conference that have asked to be reaffiliated.
There's one that it's unofficial. The question is being asked in our conference. And so I don't really know too much beyond that, but it's enough that we actually have to consider it. So.
All right. That's fascinating. Okay. I'm going to get off the speaker view here because I can't see many people. Anybody wave your hand that you've got something you'd like to ask today? Matt Murray's asking if there's a plan for reaffiliations. I think I heard Jeremiah say that there's not a plan yet, but it's something that they may have to consider. Neil is raising his hand over there.
We have several of those issues you talked about coming up, and I was wondering if we could get someone from conference to come down and help us work through where we really should be going.
I think we could probably Neil, where are you at?
Alamosa. Our building's too big, but we do have a weight care, and we have a parsonage that we're currently renting, so we have several of these issues.
Yeah, I think certainly we could I'm not sure that any of us are really in a sense that we could come down and be a consultant, but certainly I think we could be in conversation together, that if you let us know the needs, and then we can kind of start to work through what you might consider and how you might take that to your own church governance.
Yeah, Neil,
I guess I'm just.
Go ahead, Jeremy.
I guess I was just hesitant to say, don't view me as the guru. I don't want to say you need to sell your parsonage or turn it into a craft bazaar, but we'd help you navigate those conversations.
Yeah. And Neil, and this is for everybody, Travis and I love to have these conversations. Not every church is ready for them, but for churches that are ready to get into these conversations, we want to be a part of that. All right. Desiree's got her hand up. Oh, you're muted.
Okay. I attend East United Methodist in Colorado Springs, and we are looking at selling our parsonage. We just got, it was going to be an eviction, but the guy left. So the house is empty, and we're working with the agent to get it cleaned up and ready to sell. And Jeremiah, are you the person we should contact about questions about what to do?
Yes and no. Chris, I'm trying to remember the name of the other group that's specifically responsible for selling properties.
Yeah, this is, I've been in touch with you all, with Ed about this.
Yeah.
That district board of church location and building.
Thank you.
That our roundtable plays the role of, that's where we're on track with that. Desiree, and I'll continue to be in touch with you all Ed had a question this last week that I haven't gotten to yet, but I'll be back in touch with him.
Okay, great. And it's a district board. What is it called?
District Board of Church Location and Building, but it's just our roundtable that in our district.
Okay. Okay.
One of the hats our leadership team wears.
Okay, great. Yeah, because obviously it's an albatross and it's got to go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Desiree. All right, Pastor Raw, and this will be our last one, and then we'll let Jeremiah go, and we will finish up the rest of our work here. Pastor Raw, what you got for us?
Hey, Jeremiah. So I am at People's United Methodist Church here in Colorado Springs. And one of my questions, I may have to speak to you maybe later, but we currently rent space to a non-denominational congregation. So just listen to what you were saying earlier, I guess about tax things or filing, and just wanting to know more information about that to make sure that we are within right guidelines, and that we're I guess just in right standings. And I also had a question about towers as well, because we have a tower contract. And people have been trying to buy our towers, but we also know that there could be some renegotiation because of what's being given for the towers is really, really, really low. So I feel like we're being taken advantage of in that particular topic, but I can also reach out to the chancellor on that as well.
Yeah, if you could shoot me an email, it is Pastor Jeremiah at lpumc.org.
Okay.
I suppose I could put that into the chat.
Pastor Jeremiah
at lpumc.org. Let me put that in. Oh, there we go. Yep, that's it. Yeah, one of the things that I've learned as I've grown in leadership is I can't be an expert on all things, but it's good to know somebody. And so I do not know all the ins and outs of taxes. And so I can look into that for you, because I do know a couple of local congregations to me that are looking at monetizing their space and how to report that accordingly. So yeah, I'll make a note that we need to look into cell tower contracts, and then maybe if we can get some resources for tax reporting. But yeah, thank you.
Yeah, Jeremiah, that would be a great thing for the trustees to provide, just in general. And I know it may be different from state to state, which is part of what's complicated in our conference. But if the trustees could provide an introductory resource and maybe a list of contacts and other resources for churches that are monetizing their facilities, their parsonages, or their church buildings, that would be fantastic. All right, Jeremiah, thank you so much. This has been great having you with us. Everybody, let's give Jeremiah the jazz hands salute there. Very good, thank you. All right, and we loved having you with us today. So take care. Have a good weekend.
Thanks. Blessings on the rest of your work.
Thank you. All right. Fabulous. Okay. Travis, we left off right before we got to asking you to talk a little bit about General Conference. So let's move into that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, good to be back again. I'm just do a short kind of summary of the major priorities that our General Conference delegation, not only in Mount Sky, but across the Western jurisdiction and other places, are focusing on. And I did a little bit of conversation a couple of weeks ago with our regular monthly or roughly monthly district Zoom. So this is a bit of repeat information from that. But there's 3 R's that is a focus of delegates. The first R is regionalization, and that is restructuring our book of discipline so that we're able to make United Methodism work in wherever United Methodism is. What I mean by that is not just in the United States, but globally. Part of the challenge that we have as a United Methodist Church is that our discipline, which is our polity of how we go about things, is heavily United States centered, but the bulk of our church is where the growth is, I should say, is happening overseas. It's happening in Africa. It's happening in the Philippines. And we also have a presence in Europe. So we have a global presence, but trying to have a United States centric discipline work globally just really doesn't work. So the coming out of these central conferences, which are our overseas conferences, have come forward with a plan of regionalization, which would allow the discipline to be customized to suit each context that a church or United Methodist Conference might find themselves. This is the first one of the first priorities have taken place. It will the legislation around regionalization. There's many things. It will require amendments to our Constitution. So even if everything passes at General Conference, it will take some time for it to go through the whole church, as conferences will have to ratify these amendments. But I think it'll really help free up our way of doing things so we can just get things to work well wherever we find ourselves as United Methodists. The second R is along the lines of removing. And this is removing harmful language in the Book of Discipline around LGBTQ inclusion, but also any other sexist or racist appearing passages in the discipline. It's primarily focused on LGBTQ concerns, which is very important, but it's also an opportunity for us to remove language that is harmful to others, to all. If we're going to be a church that values all people, it's important that our discipline does not invoke harm on anyone. So there's good work that'll be taking place around this. The third priority is revise. And this is the third R, and that is revising our social principles. Now, this happens every general conference. This is not new. But this is tied into the first and the second priority, in that for us to have a discipline that works globally, we may have to adjust the principles a bit to fit. So some things can be more suited per context. It also is an opportunity for us to revise any harmful language that is found in our social principles. So real quick, those are the three R's of our priorities: the regionalization, remove, and revise. Now, hey, talk to any of our delegates, and we've got a few people here who are part of the delegation. I'm seeing Tiffany right here. I know Judy Hill is a part, and I am sure I am missing others on here. And so forgive me, I just don't have my screen set up where I can see everybody right now. Any of our delegates will tell you there is a whole lot of other legislation that is there. Anything that happens in the life of the church, there is a piece of legislation or 12 that relate to that. So our general conference delegates have quite a bit of work ahead of them. And so they'll be addressing all these things, working through in committees. So there's just a lot of work that'll be taking place. If anything, I could ask of you to support our delegation and support all of our general conference delegates around the world, is to be in prayer for them and to hold them in your prayers. They will have long days. They will have challenging days, hard conversations. Fortunately, there will be moments of seeing that hope, of seeing that God's grace at work there. So definitely be praying for our delegates. There's a way that'll be set up that you can mark a time to pray. You look at our conference website, they'll be setting up things there to so you can let the delegation know that you are in prayer for them. And also just stay apprised of what's going on as well. Look at our conference website, look at umc.org. There will be updates available as things take place. So if you have any other questions, though, you're welcome to email me, twalker@mountainskyumc.org. I will just put that in here in the chat real quick. If you have any questions, you're welcome to reach out to any person on our delegation, either delegates that serve for the general conference or for the jurisdictional conference. So you're welcome to reach out, and we'd be happy to answer your questions that you have. So that's all I wanted to share, Chris.
Awesome. Thank you. And Travis and I are both going to be staying here and holding down the fort in the conference while our delegation heads off to North Carolina. And it's in like 10 days is when this thing starts, April 23rd to May 3rd. So you'll be able to watch it online. Everything will be online for you to watch. Plenaries, at least the big sessions, will be online for you to watch and worship and all of that. It's fascinating. If you haven't done it, if you haven't watched before or been, it's an interesting thing. The other thing, Travis is a jurisdictional delegate. One of the things that we're going to be looking forward to, and you can keep your eyes open for, we'll be having a new Episcopal leader, a new bishop, starting in September. Our bishop is going to be retiring, and the jurisdictional conference will meet in July in Spokane, and we'll figure out then what that's going to look like for us. There are a number of different possibilities, so just something to pay attention to. All right. If we have time at the end, and right now it's not looking like it, we can open up for any questions you may have for Travis, but if you've got them, just send them his way. All right, I'd like to do one more video here. Beaver Creek Camp is the one conference camp that we have in our district, our geographical area, and Jana Hanning sent us a video about the Beaver Creek experience.
Beaver Creek Experience, the expanded vision of Beaver Creek Youth Camp, is a place where you can have the experience you want it to be. Located in the Rio Grande National Forest near South Fork, Colorado, Beaver Creek can trace its ancestry back to 1929, when Reverend John Sprago took youth from Monte Vista, Colorado to the church camp at Grand Mesa. In 1930, Ivan Assay took campers from Monte Vista, Alamosa, and Bowen, Colorado to Grand Mesa in a Model T Ford. They left Alamosa at 7 a.m. and didn't arrive until after 10 p.m. This 15-hour experience prompted exploration to hold Christian camps in the San Luis Valley. Over the next several years, equipment was purchased and camps were held in many locations, and even more sites had been explored for a permanent camp. A site on Beaver Creek was selected, and on February 15, 1948, a special use permit was negotiated with the U.S. Forest Service. Construction on what is now called Rustic Lodge began on June 27, 1949, and it was not completed until sometime in 1951. Spruce, the first sleeping cabin, was built in 1954. And between 1954 and 1968, 8 more cabins, 2 shower houses, and several worship and activities areas were added to the campus. The infirmary was built in 6 days in 1965. During that time, into the early 2000s, and still today, the Beaver Creek Camp Commission focused on Christian youth camping ministries as its primary mission, but recognized that more and more people were utilizing the camp for church gatherings, family reunions, nonprofit organization events, hobby retreats, weddings, and even government functions. In 1998, planning and fundraising began on a new Four Seasons Lodge to serve those groups. Construction began in 2008, and in September of 2009, the Bergstresser Lodge was opened and dedicated with no debt. In 2021, Beaver Creek Youth Camp began changing its name to Beaver Creek Experience to more fully embrace the variety of guests it serves. To learn more about a place to have the experience you want it to be, please visit www.beavercreekexperience.org.
All right. So I'd encourage you to look into that. They have great youth camping experiences during the summertime, and it's a great place to have a retreat as well. One of the votes that we need to take today is to approve and affirm the Beaver Creek Experience Commission. List for that. There it is. All right, so I'll show you this here. Beaver Creek Camp is a little bit unique amongst our camps. It doesn't belong to the annual conference. It has always had some independence, and it's been run by this commission that in the past has been primarily representatives from the United Methodist churches down there in the San Luis Valley. We had a number of churches down there disaffiliate, and so they've had to kind of reorganize and rethink a little bit what they're doing and who is involved in that. But the commission continues to keep the district superintendent from the district that it is within, which is now ESCO, and also our Amanda Daniel right now at our Mountain Sky Conference camping ministry coordinator. So we continue to sit on that commission and to be a part of it, as do all of our United Methodist churches there in the area. It's just, as you can see there, a number of our partners in that commission are churches that have disaffiliated in the last several years. So you can see there, it's been part of their bylaws that this be approved by our district over the years. And so you can see the individuals and the churches that they represent there on that list. Now we will do this one last time. Do you approve the membership of the Beaver Creek Commission? Yes or no? A few more seconds. All right. So we did have someone test the no button on this one. So we've got a 1 no vote. But thank you all for approving that. We'll pass it along to Jean and the commission. Remember, right. Let's get rid of that. Okay. Next thing, we have a number of districts represent us with conference boards and committees and teams. And so we're going to go through real quick, and there are a few of these where we don't have anyone representing us right now. And so it would be great if you are intrigued to let us know. There is a conference nominations team, and we have a couple people on it. And so I'm going to share those names with you here as a part of this presentation, just so you know who some of our people are who are looking out for our interests. Travis is on the conference roundtable. We have 5 folks who are part of the Racial Justice Movement and Ministries team: Durf Bergman, Anil Dewan, Kim Hockman, Pat Minton, and Marianne Tabor. Denise Logan has been serving on the leadership development team. She's thinking she might be rotating off of that this year. We have a number of people on the Board of Ordained Ministry for the conference: Nancy Boswell, Kendra Mulch, Eric Strader, Sharon Strauss, Patty Walker, Jim Ward, and Carrie West. Susan Wheeler serves on the Board of Lay Ministry, and Cindy, do you serve on that too? It wasn't on the nominations list, but speak up if you do.
I serve on that one now.
Yeah, and okay. I'm on that also.
Okay, great. So David Erickson and Cindy Snodgrass both serve with the Board of Lay Ministry as well. Tiffany Keith is representing us on the Congregational Vitality Committee. Marianne Tabor with the Community Engagement Committee. Nancy Boswell and Jeff Wakely with the sub-team of Community Engagement. Community Engagement, the mission team. Community Engagement also has a sub-team that is called the Disability Committee. We currently don't have anybody helping with that, and so if you're interested, hold on just a moment, and I will tell you the folks to be in touch with to express your interest to the nominations team. Nancy Mead serves with Archives and History, and she was incredibly helpful when we were going through some of our disaffiliation stuff over the last couple of years. CFNA is the Council on Finance and Administration. Anil Dewan, Sherry Ferryman, and Christina Walker serve on that. The Board of Pension and Health, we also don't have anybody from our district that works with that team. That's part of the responsible stewardship, under the responsible stewardship umbrella with the conference. Mike Pascal is serving with the Board of Trustees, the group that Jeremiah is going to be heading up. The nominations team. So if you're interested in any of these things that you see here, Denise Logan and Janine Rose have been serving on the nominations team, and it would be great. Denise, if you can in the chat, put your email in the chat, maybe just let folks know how they can get a hold of you if they're curious. Anil Dewan serves on the AC Annual Conference Planning team, and then Pastor Ra Radira Paris Woods serves on the communication team for the conference. And so that is our list of folks. There will be a nominations report with our upcoming annual conference, and that will be on the website eventually. And you can, the one from last year is on there now. So you can look and see everybody who is on any conference team or committee or board right now on the conference website. All right, let's see here. Great. One more video to show here. This is Vivian Arnoldi, who will introduce herself, sharing some of what she's up to.
Hi, friends of the Eastern and South Central Colorado District. I'm Annie Arnoldi. I serve as the Director of Connectional Ministry for the Mountain Sky Conference and as the Superintendent of Vitality. That's a lot of words. Mostly what that means is I get to assist our bishop across all of our districts in connectional ministry. I also am the one who oversees annual conference every year, our annual business meeting and place to gather and worship together. Under Vitality, two of my roles are distributing grants to emerging faith communities and smaller grants for resourcing, for helping equip the local church. The other one is working alongside our Congregational Vitality team, where we each year try to have an ongoing rhythm of education through webinars, online resources for local churches, and an annual hatchathon, which is an innovative way to do coaching. We have 4 teams each year, and these are with churches around our districts who have an idea for an emerging faith community. And then we are able to gather in person, do lots of coaching, and help get those teams ready to engage in what could be a new church start. So let me show you a couple resources on our website. I will share my screen and show you the homepage for the Mountain Sky Conference. Now, there's a couple things to point out. Because we've just opened up registration for annual conference, I want to point out the red button up top here that says AC 2024. You can click that button and you can find all of the information for annual conference. The registration is listed on the subpages as well as all of the other information. So if you are a clergy or lay member to annual conference, you'll click that registration button and see that there's a hyperlink where you can then register. If we go back to our homepage, under ministry teams, you'll find our focus areas. Congregational Vitality is right there. Then you'll again see some sub-pages. If you're interested in looking at anything to do with Vitality, please visit a couple of them that I'll point out. Anywhere Church, these are ready-made resources for worship. You can find the Anywhere Church website here. It is the Mountain Sky Conference's website, but it has its own platform because of the number of videos and downloads. So you can read information here. You can go to the website here. You simply do a quick registration. Anyone for free in our conference can access those worship resources. If we go to Fresh Expressions, you'll see just a brief write-up, and at the bottom, a grant form for a micro grant. Any church who wants to engage in a fresh expression, which is a ministry outside of your building, somehow engaging the community, you can apply for a micro grant of $250 to kind of get you started. And then if we look at vitality for established congregations, there is a whole host of information here. But one thing you might be particularly interested in is Mission Insight, this resource here. It's demographic information about your community. And you can either email us at the Vitality area, vitality@mtnskyumc.org. Or if you feel confident to register yourself, there is a place right there. But our office is happy to help you get that demographic information about your community. So I'll stop here to say it's a joy to meet you all. Please reach out as you can and help us connect with you and your local church. Thanks for having me. Bye-bye.
All right. So big thank you to Annie for putting that together for us. Okay. We are pretty much at the end of our agenda now. And so I've got a few things I'd like to just mention as we wrap up, and stay till the end, because at the very end, I'd like everybody to unmute and say goodbye to each other. So a few things to share though. One, we have been doing a series of trainings this spring. We had one for SPRCs, which is on that YouTube page. We did one for trustees and finance committee folks. That's on that YouTube page. And we have one on Monday night coming up for lay leaders, lay members to annual conference, and church council chairs. That link has been sent out to all those people, if we have you in our database in that position, and to your pastor. And so if you're in one of those roles and you don't have that link, please get in touch with one of those folks to get it, or be in touch with me or Travis, and we can get that to you as well, or Susan and Cindy. They're going to have it if you'd like it. And Susan and Cindy are going to play a big role. They're going to take the part of training our lay leaders that night. So going to be very good. So 6:30 Monday night, we'll have that Zoom. Another thing on the website I wanted to show you, we've referred to several buttons on our conference website today. Annie pointed out the AC 2024 red button, which is important if you're interested in an annual conference. We pointed out the donate button earlier if you want to contribute to our ESCO Foundation Fund. And then there's also the subscribe button. And oftentimes I hear folks say, we're not connected with the conference. The conference never does anything. We never hear anything. Well, the conference puts out a number of newsletters over the course of every month. And this is where you can access those. If you hit subscribe, it will say to enter your email, and they'll check to see if you're in the database. I'm going to go ahead and put mine in here. And it'll say, yeah, they found mine. And I know that because I get all of those. If they haven't found yours, you're going to get a chance to subscribe to whichever of the newsletters you would like to receive. And there are about half a dozen of them. There's responsible stewardship. There's a general annual conference newsletter that comes out regularly. Leadership development has one that comes out. Missions has one that comes out. Responsible stewardships has a lot of stuff on it for finance and trustee folks. And so I would encourage you to subscribe to some conference newsletters. And that way you'll be in the loop. If you're on Facebook, there's a conference Facebook page. We have a district Facebook page that Travis mentioned earlier. One of the things that the responsible stewardship site page on our conference website has a list of webinars that they've recorded over the last couple of years where you can learn all sorts of interesting things. There's also going to be one coming up in June that is going to be going over the annual conference budget for 2025 that's going to be proposed at annual conference in June. And so if you're interested, you can keep your eye out for that. A couple things. One, Leslie Chamberlain was our district administrator, and she moved on to take another full-time job with her other employer. So we wish her well. But it means we're in the process of hiring a new district administrator, and that's going to be happening in pretty short order. We will probably be offering that position in the next few days to someone. So we will let you all know when we have that new person on board with our district staff. And I would love to have Allison, take a moment. I'm going to share the flyer for this great event that they have coming up so that you can see it. Elaine, why don't you share with us what you'd like to share about this?
Our district leadership team for United Women in Faith is having a soul care. Soul care event. It is the 27th of April at Wesley UMC. Pastor Carrie West is going to be our guest speaker. And also when we do an event, we ask the ladies of the United Women in Faith of something that we can bring supplies for. So the United Women in Faith at Wesley does migrant bags for the migrants, and they have asked us to bring supplies for those. They already have the bags; they just need the supplies for them. So that is listed as well. So if you want to go, you can go register. If you have questions or you can't get registered or you need help registering or anything, just my information is on there. You can call, text, email, whatever. So let us know. We need to have you registered because we'll have lunch. There'll be a virtual, so you can see it via the internet. So either way, we've got to have you registered so we know where to send who to send what information.
Awesome. Thank you, Elaine. I'm going to see if this works for me to cut and paste your email in the chat. Oh my goodness, it worked. Okay. There we go. So if you're interested in the soul care event, please be in touch with Elaine at that email address. Wow, look at that. My clock says 11:03. Amazing. Okay. I am so happy that you all joined us this morning. Thank you so much. We've recorded this. The recording will be up on that YouTube page in fairly short order within a few days. And if you can refer somebody who missed it to this extraordinary business meeting that we had today. Everybody, I'm going to say a prayer to close us, and I hope you have a great weekend, and God bless you and your church family as you continue to go about the great kingdom and kingdom work that you are doing where you are today and always. Let's pray. Gracious God, thank you so much for this day and for this gathering of friends across the miles. We are so blessed to be a part of your body in this world, that we are able to be your hands and feet and hearts, that we are able to experience the transformation that you bring into our lives, and that we are able to instigate and to share that transformation that you bring into the world through your Spirit and through your Son, Jesus Christ. God, I pray that you would bless each of the churches of our district, each of the pastors of our district, and all of the lay people who are connected across the miles. We people called Methodists are striving every day to be faithful to you and to your hopes and dreams for us. We pray that you would inspire us and that you would help us to always recall and claim that we are your people, that you are our God. It's in your Son's name we always pray. Amen. All right, everyone, if you would unmute and say hi or bye or whatever you'd like to share.
Adios.
Bye. 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 It's been wonderful.
In our area. be sure to come to Only Springs for church tomorrow. It starts at 9:30, and I am preaching.
All right.
Yeah, go
Thanks,
Pat.
Pat.
Bye-bye. I'm
All
the
right.
other half.
Take care, everybody. Bye now.